Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tips and Tricks Tuesday. I am in the chat room and already seeing your comments. Thank you for wishing me a happy birthday. I am 1 year older, no years wiser. Just, your average Tuesday. I have some balloons here that, yes, I did go out and purchase at Party City because I am extra like that. And there are a few birthday ones in here too. So thank you so much. Today is a very exciting day. I've been waiting for this for weeks because I'm a huge fan of music videos. Now, when I tell you that I'm a huge fan of music videos, I ain't lying. Like, I am a connoisseur. And I have one of the best music video editors in the biz here with me to chat and basically nerd out for 15 minutes. And then I'm going to show you my complete music video editing workflow, soup to nuts, in 45 minutes. It is the most comprehensive and condensed tutorial you are going to get. And you can follow along and get the PDF over here at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. So at that link, you can download the PDF I made specifically for the notes for this lesson. You can also enter for a chance to win a full year of Creative Cloud. And you can get all the replays and all the tutorials for all of the other lessons I've done. This is week 16. But for now, enough about that. Let's bring on the man, the mystery, the wonder, the electric Vinnie Hobbs. Hello, Vinnie.
Hello. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. Looks like you are in an exotic locale.
Yeah, I'm in Mexico at the moment. I'm heading back today, but you know.
I appreciate you making the time, joining us south of the border. I appreciate it.
Of course, my pleasure.
So, Vinnie, what have you been working on lately?
Let's see. Well, the latest video was WAP by Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. That was a fun release.
I love that.
Yeah, I have some new projects coming up. That's why I head back tomorrow because I start a new job. I can't say who it's for, but that's going to be pretty big.
Oh, I'm excited. That's always the case, is like when you get that big thing and you're like, oh, but I can't say it.
I know. That's how you know.
So how did you start out? I feel like a lot of people look at you and see, this successful person making videos for J Balvin, for Jennifer Lopez, for Cardi B, like all over the biggest videos in the world. But that's not how anyone starts. Nobody just like starts getting those clients. Take us through your journey a little bit.
I guess making home videos myself when I was a kid, from VCR to VCR, pressing pause, record. So technically analog editing was how I learned the language from an early age. And when I got to college, I really wasn't the best writer. So I used videos to really use that as the leg up on presentations. And I used that and kind of went with it. After that, I borrowed a camera from my school, met a rapper in Seattle, shot a music video, and fell in love with the editing aspect of it. And that was 13 years ago. So I'm still doing it because I fell in love with it and I stuck with my passion.
Yeah, you have to like do your actual passion if you want people to hire you for your actual passion. So if you want to edit music videos and you're editing wedding videos, who's going to hire you to edit music videos, right? You have to, even if it's for a small artist, like you said, a small artist in Seattle, get your feet wet. You'll learn a lot.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so when you are working with directors, is it usually that they have a very specific vision and edit in mind? Or do they just like let you do, whatever you want to do? Or is it like a combination of the two? And which do you prefer?
All three. Sometimes the director has a specific vision in mind where they actually have a shot list and you really have to abide by that. And sometimes I like to remix it up a little bit and say, hey, it might be more creative or cooler if we do this, switch up these scenes. But that's just all in post. These are just ideas I like to propose just to give options. I notice directors love options. They never like going with the first thing they see because it helps them kind of pick and choose what they like the most based on other things they see as well. And sometimes for performance-based videos where there's like 3 music video sets, or just backdrops, whatever, green screens, whatever. Sometimes I get full creative reign to do whatever I want, whether it be like a rhythmic cut, a beauty cut where you have to make the artist just look good, and use their shot selection properly. It all depends. And sometimes there's a hybrid of both, where you have to go by a storyboard, a specific treatment, vision, and then they use you to kind of like amplify that if you need to, or just stay in your lane and execute properly.
Yeah, we have a question. I mean, first of all, I think that it is very important to be flexible when it comes to that, because no matter, different directors have different ways that they want to work, especially when you start working with a director, you kind of have to like suss them out and figure out, oh, are they going to be like put that 1 pixel to the left kind of person, or are they going to be like, give me 4 options, whatever you want, have fun with it?
Yeah.
We have a question from John Cooney in the chat room. He asks, Mr. Vinnie, what were your visual influences when creating Cardi B's video, and who is your greatest visual influence?
I would say Missy Elliott, her videos from back in the 90s, early 2000s. That was probably, I was drawing from that the most. As far as the movement goes, cutting, rhythmic cutting, all that pacing, definitely Missy Elliott, and then a little bit of what me and the director Colin Tilley, what we created in the past, one being Anaconda, another being MILF Money by Fergie. We definitely kind of brought every trick out the book and then made our own little new 2020 version of what that could be.
What are some of like the things that, I believe Vinny froze, so we're just going to take a sec and look at his, now he's back. All right. Hey, Vinny, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We're all good.
Awesome. I think you might have frozen, but now you're back. So I was wondering, what makes a Vinnie Hobbs edit? Or what is something that maybe, if you don't want to share what makes a Vinnie Hobbs edit, maybe you can share something that an editor can do to make themselves stand out, whether it's the way they edit or the way that they're working with people.
Yeah, I think it's more about the experience and how you make the director feel. Obviously, it's a team effort to make the final product. You can't just be all about yourself. You have to really keep in mind certain things. Like for the WAP video, I had to keep in mind the stylist, choreographer, the actual artists themselves, the director. I had to keep in mind all their visions to really streamline that information and make the video perfect for everybody involved.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors at play when you're making a video, especially with multiple artists. You have to make sure that they are, that their faces are right, that their beats are right, that your transitions are right. I think, though, one of the things that personally, if I can say what makes a Vinnie Hobbs edit in my mind, is that you really pay attention to the particular details of not just the beat, but the sub beat, like the under beat. So sometimes you'll cut on the underbeat and then you'll put in some other motion in the actual beat, whether it's like, a motion of someone's hand, or you do like a quick speed ramp, or sometimes you do a little pop. Like you'll just, for one frame, you'll just do like 110% and then back to 100%, like a little pop.
Yeah, that's my favorite personally. I love doing that. Yeah,
and then you'll also do things like you'll do like virtual reframing, like you'll do an orbit that wasn't shot, or you'll like reframe some way to match the shot before it. Right. There's so much that can be done in editing that people don't realize, but I think you also take it to the next level when you bring in that visual effects. Like, for example, Post Malone's Circles, very visual effects heavy video. Mm-hmm. How did you work with the VFX team in order to get that accomplished?
Well, that was an interesting edit. We kind of didn't know what we were doing at first. We had a bunch of beautiful footage, but we didn't know how to create a story out of it. So it took a few cuts to actually create some kind of linear story to follow. And with that, we had VFX notes for each shot. So it transitioned nicely into the next scene. And actually, you could create a thread to follow instead of just being random images just placed next to each other where it just didn't make sense. It may have looked cool, but there wasn't any thread to follow. So we tried our best to really just create a linear story throughout.
Yeah, I think storytelling is so important. Even if it is a music video, sometimes it follows the lyrics, but not always. And you have to sort of figure out, how do I tell that story? How do I make sure that people are entertained and also like stick around for the song?
Yeah.
I think one thing that a lot of music video directors, editors kind of fall back on is that people will watch music videos regardless because they like the song. They want to have it on in the background. You're going to get you could make a very simple video, but if the song slaps, people are going to watch it. So it's up to editors like us to be like, you know what? I'm making this for the art. I'm making this to elevate the art in some way, and not just, for the public. Because honestly, like, the public loves Cardi B. They're not going to notice that you went like into the snake's mouth and then up through the sand and then on top and then out through the sand and then you did like a transition at the bottom. Like, I'm going to notice that, but the public isn't. So how do you deal with that when it's like so much extra work to give it that extra level of production value when, like, the majority of people aren't going to notice?
Yeah. When you pay attention to small details like that, I feel like people do appreciate it. We have people like you that actually watch music videos with crazy detail. So I really try to put effort into making those small things pop. And even if it's subtle, even if it's nothing too crazy that's going to make or break the video, it's not going to give it a view more, a view less. But I feel like as an editor, those are the small things that directors see as well. So when they see that, hopefully they like it and want to use me for their next video. So,
well, I would be super happy to check out some of those details if you can. I know you have an edit that you want to like let us see, let us experience. So if you could pull that up and explain a little bit about it.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and switch over real quick. Boom. So for this one, I have a video for an artist I love working with. Her name is Snow Allegra. And this was very heavy on the VFX as well, but I noticed I had to really pay attention to not revealing all the sets too early. So I'll just kind of scrub through this whole thing from beginning to end, and I'll show a little before and after.
So when you say not revealing the sets too early, what do you mean by that? Because I think that is a huge lesson.
Yeah, so as far as I can kind of go through all the sets, we have kind of like the indoor-outdoor set here. And then as it goes on, we have new, wider sets from the outside of the building that we're shooting in. And I could have used that in the beginning. I didn't. Let's see what else we have. We have a few more in the back end, but I could have used indoor pool set right here. I could have maybe just jumped the gun too early and put all these sets we're seeing in the back end here, especially the dance routine. Excuse me, the dance routine here. I'll play a little bit of that. So the funny thing about this edit is I actually had the dance routine coming early. That was my creative decision. And when I got in the studio with Snow, she said, hey, let's go ahead and move that dance scene back. Let's not reveal it too early. So that was my mistake, but she was totally right on that. So we went ahead and just stuck with more of like the narrative setup, and then hit you with the rhythmic cuts as far as dancing and just, hitting those moves later on in the video, which was something to look forward to. And I think that's really important in music videos, having something to look forward to for every beat break, bridge, breakdown, chorus, you name it.
Yeah, well, you don't want people to instantly, see everything all at once. You kind of want to lead them into it and give them something to wait for, something to like. So I don't know. I like it. I think it's very, very important to have that that storytelling, even when it's not a storytelling video, even if it's just like performances and dancing, which this isn't, but I'm just saying, even if it's just performances and dancing, introducing a new setup halfway through the video, it's like, oh snap, there's more to it than just this. You know, you did this very similar thing with Jennifer Lopez with, I believe it was what was it? It was Medicine. Yeah. So you had this like set where you did, or I think this is a Colin Tilley video, right?
That was Joya Francis.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they did this, I'll show it really quick. So they did this kind of, what's it called? It's a merry-go-round, right? Okay. And it's a merry-go-round for like the first half of the video, and you kind of exhaust all your merry-go-round options. You're like, it's a wide, it's a close-up, it's a this, it's a that, it's merry-go-round. And then in the middle of the video, now you go into the stage, and now that there's these like flashing lights, and I'm sure that they shot the performance takes throughout the entire video. So they did have, you know, stage shots at the beginning, right. And you probably
they just got the performances for that pocket of the song. They got the whole performance for the whole song, so you really had leverage to pick and choose where you wanted to reveal it.
And you have to make the decision. Exactly. You're like, okay, let me hold this off, even though it's such beautiful footage. Let me hold this off and let me put it in a little bit. And another thing I really liked about that JLo video, and I just really like it in all of your videos, honestly, is the way you use speed ramping. The way that you'll do a speed ramp fast, right? And then you'll put it slow on a certain word. Like for this one, you did it up JLo's butt, which I was like, that is so perfect. That is so great. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I remember. It was like a butt shot, and it went up, and then you like stopped the speed ramp, and I was like, wow.
Oh, I do remember that. That's right.
I was impressed. So, what would you say are some things that you like are constantly kind of looking for, noting when you are getting that footage, and like maybe you're stringing it out, or you like know that that's the shot. That's the shot that I'm going to use at some point.
Yeah. Well, you know, knowing JLo and her videos in the past, you kind of know what works well with her. So shots like that work well with her and her brand. It's JLo, you know? So little moments like that, I usually find selects in the beginning before I start actually cutting. And I just know that I have little grenades I could pop in the timeline to hit you with little bombs here and there, just in case things get boring. And speed ramping to the beat, speed ramping to certain lyrics and all that kind of amplifies the song and video at the same time.
Yeah, and it's also super important to, I think, not cut too quickly, or if you are cutting too quickly, to have some sort of consistency in between those cuts, because you can get into a situation where it's like, you know, cut, and your eye doesn't know where to look. So whether that's like in between the two cuts, your point of interest remains in the top left.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah, you can't get too messy. You got to make sure you actually know what you're looking at. And just, you know, the younger kids can actually, you know, take in a fast-paced edit where there's a bunch of stuff going on. But, you know, for maybe older people, they want something a little more calm and slower, and so they can really take in what's going on. It all depends. It all depends, really, what your audience is and what you're going to do for them.
I will, if you have any questions for Vinnie in the chat room, we are almost wrapped up. I went way too long because I'm having too much fun. Apologies,
Vinnie.
Vinnie.
We can talk for hours about this, but
we can.
Just a little dose.
I think I'll give you this question from Rhea Begazzo.
Hey, Rhea.
And then I'll wrap up. So she says, Vinnie, you said you had to move some of the dance footage so as not to reveal it too soon in that last music video. Does making a change like that throw off your whole edit?
Oh, heck yeah, it does. Yeah, because then you have a big old gap in the beginning that you didn't like have any backup shots for. So it is a little labor intensive to do that, but that's all part of the job. It's all a part of problem solving and, you know, meeting in the middle with the artist. So if you want to edit music videos, just know that's going to come your way for a lot of them. So it's really a part of the process. Approach it with a good attitude.
Oh, I think he might have been frozen, or it might be just my stream quality. 1 second. Let me make sure that the stream quality is good before we get going again. All right, the stream quality is back, and I'm going to flip it over to Vinny so he can finish because that was really inspirational. There you go.
Okay. So repeat?
No, so you were talking about how it's a collaboration between you and the director and the artist always, and
Always.
you have to be open to changes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the whole part of editing. You really have to be a team player. If you think you know it all, it's not going to be a fun experience. Of course, have confidence and actually have a reason to justify your creative cuts and all that. But just have a good attitude and be a team player. I think those are the two things that are very important to get a client really have your back.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that because there is something to be said for being a technical master of your craft, which we'll get into in just a second, and I'll teach you how to do that. But that is something that you can learn. What you can't learn is how to be good with people, how to be a team player, how to be communicative and thorough and clear. And what you just said about have a reason for why you are making that comment.
Yeah.
Have something to back it up. Don't just be like, oh, I like it because it slaps right there.
Right. Right. And sometimes you'll be wrong too. You can kind of predict, hey, I think this will work because of this. And then you'll be like, oh, crap, my bad. Let's try that again. And that's all part of the process. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you'll make a happy mistake. Sometimes you'll accidentally do something that you didn't intentionally mean to do, and it will be great, and you'll stick with it.
Yep.
So it's all about going with the flow, melting with the process, having a good attitude, and being open.
Well, you heard it. You heard it from the man himself. All right. Well, thank you so much, Vinny. I'm going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of your last day in Mexico.
Thank you.
If people want to see your work, if they want to take a look at your awesome behind the scenes, you do timeline posts, all that kind of stuff, where should they go? Where can they find you? The floor is yours.
You can follow me at Vinnie Hobbs, VinnieHobbs on Instagram, Twitter, and I think those are the main two platforms. So you can find me on Instagram. That's my main platform.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vinny, and have a great
and shout out
rest
to
of
my
your day.
team at VH Post. I have amazing editors that are on the come up. They do incredible work. I want to also give a shout out to Chris Simmons, Mark Mayer, and Chris Solis.
Shout out. And thank you again for joining. Thank you so much. Bye, Vinny.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great one.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Vinnie Hobbs. I'm just going to switch on over to showing you my screen, getting that all prepped and ready for you. Today is a very cool day for me because it's not just my birthday. It is the day that I'm going to show you my music video editing workflow. And you can go ahead and go to adobe.ly/tipstuesday. And there you can get all of the notes for this lesson. I basically took the time to write out all the notes for you. So you don't have to. They are all there for you. It's pretty cool, actually. So I would highly, highly recommend doing that. And then flipping on back to this lesson to follow along. All right, so let's go. Let's take it over. Let me switch over all of my screens real quick. By the way, just so you know, that manual, it looks like this, and you will have the full guide, so how to do everything that I'm about to teach you, annotated, illustrated, everything you need to know. Again, that's at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. So the first thing I'm going to show you a little bit is my folder organization, because I did get a question a little bit earlier in the stream by Sophie Marie Gielen. She says, I was wondering, what's the first thing you do when you start editing a video? So when I start editing a video, the first thing I'll do is I will make sure that I have all of my files aligned properly. So you can see here, one sec. Do, 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 do. Okay, so you can see here I have my my entire hard drive, by the way. It's all lined up like this. It has the date underscore what that thing is. It's all sort of perfectly lined up, and every time I do the same exact configuration. So like, for example, I just did a shoot for my birthday, so I'll go into that shoot and you can see all the folders are footage, audio, graphics, music, everything, and those folders are always the same. And I always have a default folder here, so all I have to do is duplicate it and all the folders will be already made for me. So that is exactly what I would do with something like a music video. One sec, let me get it back up. There we go. Okay, so we have here, this is my Adobe Streams folder, and here we have the Habanera folder. Now, I am trying to show you a music video workflow, but the thing about showing a music video workflow on YouTube is I have to make a music video or have to show a music video, but I can't actually play any copyrighted music. So you'll excuse me for what I'm about to show you, which is me in my bedroom singing the Habanera from the opera Carmen, because that is the only royalty-free track that I know that has music. So that's what we're doing today. That's the demo. It's not serious, everybody. It's just, I'm just joking. So I have my footage folder, my audio folder, graphics, music, everything. So in my footage folder, what I'll usually do is I will drop the footage. Sometimes if it's multiple cameras, I'll do multiple cameras. Sometimes I'll just drop it like this. And I would go ahead and drop it into a new sequence or into a new project in Premiere Pro. So I'll do that right now. I'll go to File, New Project, and I'll find it in my organization here. So I'll go to, I'll put it into the Premiere folder and I'll say select folder and I'll call it Habanera Demo, and I'll press OK. And then what's cool is that you can then just bring in all the footage all at once. So you can just bring it in and there's all your footage. It's just in the project folder, but it's not organized. It's just kind of hanging out there. So let's organize it. What I like to do is I'll go ahead and create a new bin, and I'll create these bins for everything I'm working on. So I'll do O1 footage. I'll do another one, O2 music, and O3 sequences. So those are generally the bins that I like to stay with. And in the footage bin, and I'll make this full screen by hitting the tilde key on my keyboard, which looks like this. It's at the top left. So I'll take all of the footage and I'll drag it into the footage bin. So now it's all in the footage bin. In my music bin, I'll go ahead and drag the music file, which is conveniently located not in the music folder. Great. Well, it's in the audio folder. Perfect. And then, so I'll have that. And then sequences, I'll start a new sequence. So I'll go down here to new item and I'll select sequence. New sequence, and I'll make it standard settings, which is 23.976, frame size 1920 by 1080 square pixels. So that is standard for YouTube. And I'll call it Habanera Assembly Demo, and I'll say okay. So before I go ahead and drop all this footage in, there's a couple of things that I like to do. First of all, by the way, if you have any questions, do leave them in the chat room. First of all, sometimes, sometimes I keep the name of the file. In this case, I shot for about 20 minutes in my bedroom, so I don't really need to categorize them. But sometimes if you're shooting for multiple days or multiple cameras, you want to rename the file names. So before dragging them, you'll use something called Adobe Bridge. and change the file names. And while I don't have time to go into that right now, I do in the workbook that you can download, I have the entire batch renaming process outlined. So you can go and read about it. And again, that is at adobe.ly/tipstuesday, where you can also sign up to win a full year of Creative Cloud. Last week's winner was Joe Cummings. Congratulations, Joe Cummings. But yeah, you can read about that there. But in this case, I am not going to rename them because it doesn't matter. But what I will do is I will create proxies, because these are pretty heavy, like 4K files. And they don't play back that smoothly. So I'll select all of them. I will right click and I will go to proxy, create proxies right here. So proxies are just like smaller versions of the files that are linked to the original files so that you can work with them more easily. So when I click create proxies, this dialog box pops up. I don't know what's happening with it right now, but it's basically asking me for my ingest preset, and I already made one called 4K proxy. This is a preset that I made myself, and it is just the same size as 4K, but a really, really low bit rate. So I would say 4K proxy, I would say next to original media in proxy folder, and I would press OK. Now, I don't want to do that right now because I've already done it. So let's go over here. So I have my footage over here in yeah, I have my footage over here, and it's all attached with proxies. So after it's attached with proxies, what you can do to toggle the proxies is use this proxy toggle button. And if you don't have the proxy toggle button, just go to the button editor and press it. And then you can go ahead and drag the proxy toggle button, which is this one, into your button editor. So you can add it, which means that it will basically turn the proxies on and off when you use them. And then when you've created them, the proxies will actually appear in your footage folder. So if you go to your footage folder, now see here, they have appeared, the proxies. And these are the low resolution versions of each clip that are still usable and editable, but they're gonna play back a lot more smoothly. So they look something like this. I mean, it still looks pretty good for low res, but if you start looking in the shadows, you see that it's like it's very grainy because it's low res. So after I do that, one thing that both Vinnie and I do is we color code our clips by setup. So if you go into the footage folder, right now, my folders are on list view, which is down here, list view. If I go to the icon view, I'll be able to see the thumbnails. So I'll go into the footage folder and it pulls up my thumbnails. And I can see these two, for example, these two are in the same setup. Let me make it bigger. Let me make it full screen for you. There we go. I'll make the thumbnails bigger. Yeah, there we go. So I can tell that these two are in the same setup. I can tell that, for example, these two right here are in the same setup. These four right here are in the same setup. So I'm just going to arrange them by setup, because you know how Vinnie said that sometimes you want to hold off a setup so that even if you're playing it through the entire video, maybe you don't want to, like, you know, maybe you don't want to show it all at once. Well, this is a good visual way to help you do that. So I'm going to do these two. I'm going to press Shift to select both of them, right click, go to label, and I'm going to label them green because that's the color that I have on my lighting in the background. I'm going to select these two right there because they're in the same setup, and I'm going to go label them rows. And then I'm going to go through all of them and label all of them. So once they're labeled, they will look something like this. So all of the labels, yay! Great. And let me make a new sequence because this is a new project that I opened up. So there we go. Okay, so now what I'll do is, you know, now you can see all of them are labeled and everything. I'll go ahead and I will drop them. No, I'll go with the music first. I'll drop the music first because everything is based on the music. So I'll take my music file, I'll drop it into the A1 track right here, and I will go ahead and lock it for now. So that way I can't access it, right? And now I'll take all of these files and I will put them and drag them into my project as well. You can see what happens is that they are not dragged onto the A1 track because the A1 track is locked. So they are dragged into V1 and A2 instead. But I want to sync them. In order to sync them, I have to put them on different tracks. I don't know what this is called officially, but I call this frog legging because it kind of looks like what a frog's legs look like when they're, flying through the air, kind of like, is that what a frog leg looks like? Yeah. Wow. I mean, Adobe, why don't you hire me to draw for you? That's amazing. Look at this frog. Wow. I mean, incredible. So this is frog legging. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to move one up and one down. Hold down shift as you're moving it. That way you'll ensure that you are not moving them, weirdly in any way. So I'm going to just go to that you're not shifting them, basically, that you're not going left to right. That's how you can ensure it. And of course, all of these clips, I've recorded scratch audio, which is just, the music is playing on speakers in the background. So if you listen to any of these clips, let's listen to it. Let's listen to that one. It's going to be right here. You'll be able to hear the music in the background. Okay, so once I finished frog legging, it should look like this. And then I can just unlock my music track because now I actually need it because I'm going to sync all of these clips with my music track. Again, I think it is super, super important. Let me just make it full screen. Why am I dragging? Let's just make it full screen. I think it's super, super important. I know it's super, super important that each of these video and audio tracks are not overlaid on top of each other. It will not work if they are like this. Okay, so they have to be separate. So you're going to select everything. You can either draw a marquee box around everything, or you can just go Command A, or Control A if you're on PC. Right click on everything and then go to synchronize. When you click on synchronize, this is going to pop up. The most important thing is that you synchronize them by audio. And then I'll click OK. And it's going to take some time to process, and it's going to process all 16 tracks, but we ain't got time for that because this tutorial is only 45 minutes. So let's go to the synced. This is what it's going to look like synced. Actually, we do have time for that. Let's do it because you know why? Because I want to show you how I then organize it. So let's go to synchronize. It'll take some time, but it's not going to be that long anyway. In the meantime, oh, it already did it. I don't even have to vamp. Okay, there it is. So there we go. There, it just synced all the tracks right here. Now I did set in and out points for some of them. So some of them are actually supposed to be longer than they are. But you get it. So it's all synced. And if you listen to it, it's going to be a very, you'll hear that it's synced, but it's going to be just a very loud cacophony. But why not? Let's listen to it for just a sec. Sorry, that was terrible. All right. But now if you click on any of these tracks, you can see how when you select it, it also selects its audio pair because they're paired. So if I select this pink one, it also selects the audio pair here. If I select this tan one, it also selects its audio pair here. And that's because they are linked. You can see that the V right here is in brackets, which means that it is linked. So I want to get rid of all of this scratch audio over here. So I can select just the scratch audio by holding down Alt or Option on my keyboard and dragging a marquee box around just the audio. And then I just hit delete. And that will delete the audio. So now I have just the one music track left. And then I can go ahead and lock this music track so that I can't touch it. Actually, let me get rid of this giant gap in the front first before I go ahead. So I'll just right click on the gap and I'll click ripple delete. So now, you know, all of my good footy is synced. It all looks good, but we have some issues. The first issue that I'm running into here is we have the performance takes, which are these long ones. And because I shot them, you know, not at the same time, I shot them out of order. They're all like up here, and I want to put them all down here. And then I have these kind of specialty takes that I did, and these are all like in the middle randomly. So I want to organize this a little bit better instead of having like 1,000 layers all stacked up. So I'm going to select just this, and again, pressing shift, while holding down shift, I'm going to move it. Let's first move these. So I'm going to hold shift, move those down, hold shift, move that down, hold shift, move that down. Okay, great. Now I can move my pink performance take over here. I can move my tan performance take over here, and I can move these performance takes over here. So now I have sort of a more well-aligned grouping of clips. So I can be a little bit better prepared to start my edit. And then when I see them all on one monitor, oh, hold on. There we go. So when I see them all on one monitor, they're nice and, you know, orderly, which is what I like. And you'll notice that I actually didn't shoot the entire length of the song. Sorry, this is just a demo, okay? So if you have any questions, do ask. Hardcore Ripper asks, did that sync it up by waveforms? Yes, that did sync it up by waveforms. That is how Premiere works. It will take the scratch audio of the clips and it'll sync it up by waveform to the music track. So I will just go to, oh, wow, I did pretty good because I synced it exactly the same. All right, so I'll go to this sequence where I have synced everything and deleted all the audio. And I have my audio, my music track is locked. And now, listen, I could go ahead and guess at where my cuts are going to be, but I don't have to at all. I can actually just listen through to the song, put in some markers, and then do my cuts automatically from there. Before I do that, however, I have a few things that I have to note. First of all, what I want to do is have the markers, which are going to appear over here. I want to have them stay in their exact location on the timeline. I don't want them to shift around if I happen to move something around down here. By default, they are going to be shifting around. So I'm going to go to the markers menu, and then there is this ripple sequence markers option. So make sure that that is deselected, because then the sequence markers are just going to stay with wherever you place them. And then second of all, when I move my playhead, I don't want the topmost clip to be selected. By default, it's as the playhead moves, it's going to be selected. So I'm going to go to sequence and I'm going to uncheck selection follows playhead. So by default, if it's checked, this is what happens. When the playhead moves, you can see that it selects the topmost clip. I don't want that. So I'm going to go to sequence and then selection follows playhead. I'm going to uncheck it. So now I have just this playhead that moves. And I'm going to listen through to the song, and I'm going to put in markers as I'm listening through to it. And those markers are going to be indicated with the, I'm going to indicate them by pressing the letter M on my keyboard. So every time I hear a beat or a place where I want to put something, I'm going to place a marker by hitting M. Again, like, apologies in advance for my derpiness, because I had to use a song, and this is the only song that I know that is royalty free. So you'll see when I start playing it, the markers will appear up here. They'll appear as little green marks at first. So let's play through.
qu'il ne peut apprivoiser. Et c'est bien, on va qu'on l'appelle, s'il convient de refuser.
I'll zoom in on it so you can see.
L'on parle bien, l'autre se tait. C'est l'autre que je préfère. Il n'a rien dit, mais il me plaît.
So this section that's coming up, I know it's a specialty section because I shot some specialty footage for this section. It is when the singer says l'amour. So instead of a point marker like this, I want to introduce a durational marker that basically tells me later this is the l'amour section. So let's take a look at how to do that. You can see. So the l'amour section starts there. So I'm going to press M and I'm going to add that marker, but then I'm going to hold Alt and drag it out. And then that becomes a durational marker. And I'm going to check where that l'amour section ends. And then that's where it ends. So I'm just going to drag it there. And now this stays green, right? And it's like just a bar, but if I want to specify what it is and what is here, I'll just double click on it and I could give it a name. So I'm going to name it l'amour, and I'm going to make it red because obviously l'amour, red, duh, right? And I'm going to click OK. So now it's red and it's okay. Let's go to the version of this where all the markers are already placed. So here we have, I placed all the markers. You can see there's also this section over here where it's Prenons de toi, and I also placed markers here. Regarde à toi? Yeah, regarde à toi, which is like where I'm playing my own backup dancers. And I actually have two tracks of this because I have a left and a right backup dancer. So let's quickly introduce that right backup dancer. I'll go to effects, I'll go to crop, and I'll put that effect on the top clip, and I will not the bottom, I'll crop in the right. There we go. And then I'll give it a little bit of a edge feather. There we go. So I know that the Regarde à toi is going to be these backup dancer people, aka me in different wigs. And I also already know exactly where I need the Regarde à toi to start and end, so I can just very easily place a cut here by going Command K and selecting the, so I select these two clips, I say Command K, and that's going to place a cut across these two clips. And here as well. And I'm going to do it here as well. And here as well. And then I can just, while holding down Shift, get rid of everything that is unnecessary. So I already know that that's going to be there. So now, check it out. Now, once I have all of these markers placed, I don't even have to listen to the video or watch through it or anything. I just have to use the command Shift M, which goes to the next marker, and the command Command K, which I just used, to cut and slice across all of the rows. But I do want to say one thing. So right now I have track targeting enabled for all of the rows. What does that mean? All of these blue squares are selected so that when I press Command K, let's say I press Command K here, right? As you can see, it slices through all of the footage. If one of them wasn't selected, so let's undo. If one of them wasn't selected, let's say V3 and V2 are not selected because I don't want to cut through that footage, and I press Command K, it doesn't slice through, as you can see, those. Okay, so if you're trying to slice through your entire stack of clips, make sure that the track targeting is enabled on all of them. Alrighty, so now that I have somewhat of a structure and I have all of my markers placed and I have the lock on my music track so I don't touch it, what I'm going gonna do is go Shift M, Command K. And I'm just going to keep doing that. Shift M, Command K, Shift M, Command K for the entire project. Easy, right? So I'm introducing those cuts already on the same lines that I've indicated with the markers. And when it's done, it is going to look like like this. This is what it looks like when it is done. So just like a waffle. I don't know how else to say it. Classic opera backup dancers, Nikisha says. Yes, thank you. You know, that's how we do it here for the birthday. All right. So now we are going to use enabling and disabling to kind of shine certain clips forward or not. So in this case, all the clips are enabled, which means when my playhead is over here, for example, the purple clip on top is the one that shows through, right? When my playhead is over here, it is the red clip that shows through. When my playhead is over here, it is the blue clip that shows through. When my playhead is over, you get it, right? So what we have to do is, instead of deleting, like say I want to show this pink clip over here. So instead of just selecting these and deleting them, because maybe you want to use them later, maybe you don't want to get rid of them. Oh, I definitely don't want to use that clip. I look like I'm struggling. But anyway, you just select them and press Shift E, and that will disable them. So you just can't see them, but they're there. I know for a fact that I don't want any of these, so I'm going to disable them. I don't want, yeah, maybe I'll use this one. Now, something that Vinnie also talked about is, you know, hiding the good stuff for later. I have this green track that runs through the entire video, but maybe I don't want to show it until after I've done the dance, or I've done this dance segment. So I know already that I don't want this green track, so I'm just going to disable it because I don't want it. And then for this first section, I just want to do like a back and forth between the tan sections and the pink sections. So I'll start with tan, then I'll go to pink, then I'll go to tan again, then I'll go to pink again. You can see here what happens is that I have the actual note starts a little bit earlier than the marker does, right? So this cut was placed incorrectly. I want this cut to actually be over here. So instead of doing something like this where I select them, I move them back, I select these, and I put them forward, I can just use the command N, which is N, right, to move all of them. So if I just press N, and that changes it to my rolling edit tool, and it kind of looks like this red tool with 4 arrows, I can now move this edit point over. But that's just one edit point, right? What if I want to move all 4 edit points at the same time? Well, you can select multiple edit points and you can move them at the same time. So if I just hold down the command or control on PC and drag a marquee box, you can see I am selecting, let me zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. You can see that I am selecting, maybe it doesn't work with the zoom, all of them. And then I press N, because right now it's still on the selection tool. So then I press N for the rolling edit tool, and I'll roll that edit forward to where I think the phrase actually starts. All right, I'm like, there's way too many shortcuts. I have shortcuts on my keyboard for zooming you guys into the screen. I have shortcuts in my keyboard for drawing things. I have shortcuts for actual Premiere. Okay, so now you can see that even though the marker was here, I actually placed it incorrectly, and now I moved the edit point forward so that the phrase starts correctly. And the same thing here, I need to move the edit point real quick, so I'll do that. Or maybe I want to play the one underneath instead, so I'll check that. Nope, definitely don't want that one. No, I really suck at that one. So another thing that you can do if you just want to keep checking out like one particular section, like for example, in this one, you know, which one do I want? Do I want this V3 or do I want this V2? I can loop the playback. So if I press the I button on my keyboard, you can see it highlights everything after my playhead in light gray, and I can go to, you know, after the cut, and I can press the O button, and it has created in and out points. Now I can go to the loop playback tool, which is this tool right here with the little play button in the square, and I can enable it. And now with the loop playback tool, when I press playback, it's going to keep playing back this section so I can audition the different cuts of it instantaneously. So maybe I want half of it to be there, and then I'll press Command K, and then I'll switch it to that. So maybe that's what I want. Something like that. And then to clear the in and out points, you can just right click in this area right here, and then go to clear in and out. And you can also deselect the loop playback, and that won't loop the playback anymore. So if I go to, you know, maybe I've done some work here. I've gone through the dance section as well, and I've gone through this section. Remember, this whole section was I'm not showing the green clips yet. I'm just going through this. I've done the dance section, which looks like this. So the rest of it, right? I don't want any of this dance, so I'll just select it and I'll press Shift E to hide it. And now we keep going, right? Definitely not that one. Maybe that one, I don't know. Or maybe I'll go with my I'll finally go with the green. Right after the dance section, we'll introduce a completely new setup that people have not seen yet, the green. And again, I'll move all of these. Let's do press command and then move this over here. So yeah, let's just say that I finished the video. I still have this gap in the beginning. And you can also see I have a gap here as well, because you can see the gaps. They're not filled in by anything. You know, when you put footage somewhere, it'll either be red or it'll be yellow up here in the progress or status bar, or it'll be green. If there isn't anything, that means there's no footage there. Like for example, here, every single one of these takes was bad. Every single one of them. So I need to put something here. See, there's a gap. So what do? Well, there's all of this dance footage, right? And I'm only using a little bit of it. So let's see if I can stick in some other dance footage that I haven't used yet. So let's instead of dragging clips over, because I don't want to move them from their place. Like, what if I need that later, you know? That's destructive editing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Option or Alt and duplicate the clip as I drag. So now I have a duplicate version of it, which means that, you know, this remains here just in case I need it, but I'm going to use the duplicate, see if I like it, enable it. What does this look like? Let's see. Oh, I pet the cat. That's precious. I love that. Okay, so let's say I want to use that. but I want to use a different section of it, so I want to use it a little bit later. Instead of going like this and finding, okay, where's the end of it? I want to end it there. So doing that, then cutting it forward, then moving it, then extending that forward, I can do that all in one step. So I'll go back. So remember, I want to start this a little bit later, not at the beginning, and I want it to be the same exact length as it is right now. So I'll just press the Y key, and the Y will turn into my slip tool. So now as I hold and drag along the tool, it'll show me in my program window, it'll show me where the beginning of that clip is and where the end frame of that clip is. So I can perfectly match it up. Something like that. Let's see. Perfect. I can do that again also here or anywhere else that's not perfectly perfect. So like right here, let's take, maybe this is a dance clip that we want to use. So I'm going to hold down Command, drag it, enable it, and trim it to this spot. Play it through. Ooh, I like this turn that I'm about to do, but I stop in the middle of the turn. So I want to just get the turn. So again, I'm going to use the Y, and I'm going to slip it so that it ends where the turn ends, right there. Perfect. And again, I did it not destructively because I just copied the clip over from here instead of just dragging the same clip over. So let's just say that I've fully done everything, right? And I've added the B-roll and all that. We're already past time. So why don't I just show you, unless you have any questions. Looks like you don't. If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat room, because I'm going to play you the final music video. I would like to preface this heavily by saying that, number one, I shot this in 20 minutes. Number one. Number two, I edited this for a demo. All right. I'm just saying, this is not a Vinnie Hobbs video. This is not indicative of my actual talent as in any way. But I just thought maybe you would like to see it. So here we go. How do I view it? Full screen. What? Hold on. I'm trying to figure this out because I haven't played it on VLC before. Maybe VLC doesn't want me to play it. Maybe QuickTime wants me to play it. I highly doubt QuickTime wants me to play it. QuickTime never works on this computer. Or maybe today it does. Maybe it does. There we go. All right, everybody. Here is the final video. If you have any questions, Lily asked, what camera did you use? I used the X-T3, which is the camera I'm using right now. Alrighty. You can't hear that, huh? VLC will not let me play the audio, so I guess it'll have to be from Premiere, which is fine. Wait, can you hear it from Premiere? Let's see. Tell me if you can hear it. Let me know. Can you hear this? Could you hear that? Let me know. I don't know why. Not hearing it, people are saying. Okay. Okay, what about now? Okay, yep. Okay, so I just have to remove myself, which is fine. Let me remove myself. Let me make this bigger. Okay, dokie, here we go.
qu'il ne peut apprivoiser. Et c'est bien, on va qu'on l'appelle, s'il lui convient de refuser. Rien n'est femme à souffrir, l'on parle bien, l'autre se tait. C'est l'autre que je préfère, il n'a rien dit, mais il me plaît. L'amour, il n'a jamais connu de loi. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Si je t'aime, prends garde à toi. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Mais si je t'aime, si je t'aime,
Oh, my microphone is dead. Whoops. So sorry. So sorry. That was the entire time. No, I saw that the microphone was off. I'm back. I heard you. I see you. I'm so sorry. So the question was, I spoke for like 10 minutes and nobody heard it. So we're back. What is your system for organizing your saved files for edit revisions? So here it is. Let me show you. So this is a project that I did for Cozy Speed, and this was before I numbered them. So you can see that they're not numbered, and they're all over the place. Most recently, when I started numbering them, I think around, like, for example, I could do let's do something like that. So when I started numbering them, you can see that they're all numbered with footage, audio, Premiere, graphics, because I put the number in front. But before, yes, don't worry everybody, I'm repeating it. I'm so sorry that the audio is off. But before, when I did stuff like this and I didn't have them numbered, it was a little bit messier. So, but still, I did really good on my exports. So if you go to exports, you can see here, what I usually do is I will do the date first, underscore what it is, underscore the revision number. And I'll also, for social media cuts and stuff like that, I'll do the date, underscore what it is, underscore what the size of it is. So in this case, it was 1:1, and then whether it has subs or no subs. And that way, it's very easy for me to later find what revision it was, what date it was on, and stuff like that. So every time I export a new revision, I do this. So you can see here, in even during this demo, I put all of the different steps, right? So the assembly, the synced, the markers, I put them all on different sequences so that you could see the steps that I take to build this video. So assembly, that's the assembly. Synced, okay, they're synced, markers, et cetera, et cetera. So I do the same thing. So if you have something like this, like say that this is your first cut, right? This is the first cut of your video. Select everything. So go to Command A, select everything, right click, and go to make subsequence. And this will save that sequence that you're working on as a version. So if you click make subsequence, you can see it added it down here as the subsequence, right? So just save that as you're working on it. Or if you have exported this version, say for a client, and they come back with revisions, instead of working on this version, go to that version that is saved, right click, and go to duplicate. And now you can do 08 client notes, and then open that and get working on it. Because a lot of times what happens is the client will, they'll give you notes on an edit. You'll be like, cool, you'll do the edit, and then they'll come back with more notes and they'll be like, actually, I really liked what you did before. So just put that in. And if you don't have that saved, you have to reconstruct it, which is a pain. So every time you send out a new revision, you should be making a new sequence, basically. It's also very hard to receive notifications right now from people at Adobe because it's my birthday and I have like a million text messages going, so nothing is coming through. But yes, I did turn my mic back on. And the last question that I had was actually from Camila Caballos. She asked, how do you change the process when you have different frame rates? This is a very good question. So let me show you again. So let's say, okay, this video featured my cat pretty heavily. So let's say the client came back. So now I'm in the client notes sequence over here. The client came back and the client says, not enough cat. We would like to see more cat. What is wrong with you? So I'm like, okay, I fully understand your decision. I think that you are in the right. So what I'll do is I'll bring in some cat footage. So let's do that. Let's bring in all this cat footage here. Yes. Okay, great. Now, the good thing is this cat footage is at 120 frames per second, but it is already, it's already interpreted for me because the camera does it automatically. So that's great. As you can see, if I play through it, it's already in slow motion. But if it wasn't already in slow motion, I could interpret it or I could not. What I would recommend is not interpreting it if it's a performance take, which means if somebody is singing, do not interpret it. Instead, put it in to your timeline as 60 frames per second and then use the speed controls within the timeline. Let me see if I have any footage that I can put in that is not interpreted. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put in some footage, like, for example, I have some here of my friend Demi on a music video that actually just came out today that I helped shoot. But here's some footage, and it is in 4K at 60 frames per second. Oh, come on. Why is it not at 60 frames per second when I put it in? I thought it was at 60 frames per second. Let's drag some more in. Hopefully some of this is in 60 frames per second. Thank you. Okay, so here's a bunch of footage. It is in 60 frames per second. You can see right here. And these are performance takes. So Demi is actually singing in these videos. So if I wanted to put this in, instead of doing the thing where you go to modify, interpret footage, and you change the frame rate from 59 to 23.976, you do not want to do that for music videos. You just want to drag the full 60 frames per second into, well, let's select in and out points, shall we? Let's not go too crazy. Let's wait for a moment where after he's done singing. Okay, right there. So he's singing. So he's singing, then he starts dancing, right? So I want his singing to be, because we want to match it up to the singing of the song, but I want his dancing to be in slow motion. So I'll just drag the entire clip in. Pretend he's singing the habanera, even though he isn't. So I'll drag the entire clip in, and let's expand it to just see it a little bit better. Now, let's make it full size. Let's go to the place, mute the actual song. Let's go to the place where he is done singing, and I'm going to put a marker there. So you can actually put a marker not just on the timeline, but on the clip itself. So if you select the clip, I'm going to press M. That puts a marker on the clip itself, which tells me that is where he has stopped singing. So then I'm going to right click, go to show clip keyframes, remapping speed. You can't see that because I'm over it on the display. How about that? Show clip keyframes, time remapping speed. And now the speed line has appeared. So I can hold down Command and press down on the speed line. And you can see that creates a keyframe. So everything before is going to be the same speed, and everything after I can slow down to at least halfway because I know that I have that latitude. So I'm going to slow it down, like, you know, maybe to 66. So that now when I play it, he's singing in real time, and then it goes into slow motion. And then he starts singing again. So let's not do that. Actually, if he does start singing again, I could put another keyframe there and then take it back up to, you know, 100% or something. And I can make this a little bit slower, probably 50. So it looks like that. So I brought a 60 frame per second clip directly in my 24 frame timeline, and I used the speed controls over here in show clip keyframes time remapping speed in order to slow it down. And that is the last question that I'm going to answer because I'm already way over. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. And just FYI, if you are interested in more of this like nitty-gritty education, I'm going to be doing this every single week. Next week, I have a very special guest from the Photoshop training channel. We're going to be talking about branding, so you do not want to miss it. And if you want more information on how to edit from professionals other than myself, you can go to the Adobe Video World Virtual Conference. It is in September, and it has a bunch of awesome sponsors. A lot of speakers, a lot of my friends are going to be speaking at it, and that is where you will be able to get training for like pretty much every Adobe program that you can think of. So I highly recommend that you sign up for Adobe Video World. These are the prices. You can learn Premiere Pro and After Effects or you can get the Mega Pass to learn both of them. I'm going to be teaching there, so if you want, check it out. Don't miss out. But until next week, have a great rest of your day, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Bye, everybody.